What did she do?
Let's see it one more time. Go check out the source because they're off of YouTube on Rumble. Links in the description.
Of what? Affection?
Spiritual, emotional, praise, nurturing, all of that stuff.
So can you break it down for us? Like, did she just ignore you, not talk to you?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I was just trying to understand.
Coming home and being ignored for 3-4 hours a night. Or she would be on the phone or
Joni has read things to me, so I remember that, and it was horrible. It sounded like a black hole. Like I had empathy.
If you really want to know,
well, no, I don't want to.
Hours, if you really want to know.
Not really.
I did read some.
We're good. We didn't want to focus on. We wanted more talk to Joni.
But you were asking why?
I believe you, and even if it looks like I have no empathy.
Let me give you details. So this is in the book.
I didn't want the details. I don't want the details. I want to move on to the next point.
This was intricacies.
No, Jonathan did.
That's all right. We don't have to go into the details. It's fine.
No, I'm just going to read a couple of these because we opened it up, so let's do it. Before kids, she was busy at work or with exercising. Then she became busy with the kids. She's busy on vacation, busy on her phone, busy reading. Basically, I've heard I'm busy my entire marriage. I think the painful part for me began after I came to know what intimacy anorexia is. My wife, too, knows what her sickness is and how to cure it. However, she refuses. Her refusal shows that her behavior is truly intentional. That makes living with her harder, more painful. She could choose to be more kind and affectionate, but she chooses to remain harsh and critical. I mean, there's a bunch more. But that was his...
It is intentional.
That's horrible.
And so you could, if you really want to understand, actually, when me and your mom started down this road, I actually sent her a copy of Married and Alone with these quotes and intimacy directions to give to each one of you as a couple so you would understand. And she chose not to give it to you. But that was my heart for you to understand. And I'm sorry that you can't, but that's...
No, now talking helps. This is why we're here.
Well, you can communicate that to your siblings because they can't understand if you haven't been through it. You can't.
I get that.
I've counseled people for 35 years. And I saw this, but I didn't have a name for it. I'm the one who came up with the name for it, but I was also living with it. And sometimes a guy will take a prophet and have him go through crap to understand something so that he can release medicine. That's a sign of a healthy soul. Okay, that's not a sign of a sick one. A sick one takes pain and goes into more pain. All right, and so you didn't get your first point, so please.
No, actually, we're on to, what point is that now? 3? I would just go to the main one.
Well, I mean, we can just start about New York.
Something that bothered. Yeah, okay.
Well, I mean, so we go to New York. That's the first time that you meet in person since you guys started your dating relationship. I was just alarmed because, you said God told you to take her to the top of the Empire State Building and give her, a Tiffany card. But to me, that it just seemed like manipulative. And then immediately from the jump, it's just like you're operating out of your flesh. I mean, you saw immediately.
Well, just talk about facts. Don't talk about your feelings.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, just the fact that you're heavily making out, like right away.
Yeah. I don't apologize for that. Yes, we were making out because we wanted to see if we had that kind of connection. I don't know if there's anything wrong. We had talked 60 hours in the month of July, FaceTime.
That's what I told.
That's right.
So if there's something wrong, Jimmy, is there something wrong with making out? I definitely kissed the hound dog out of him, so.
Absolutely not.
But it was 60 hours of talking and praying. So 60 hours of talking and praying. And from the very kind of early on, after a few weeks of talking to her, I felt Jesus was in this. I really did. I'm like, Jesus, what are you doing? Are you kidding?
So self-control's out the window because Jesus is in it.
No.
Are you saying there's something wrong with him?
No, this wasn't it until you said Jesus is in it. Then I'm like, wait, we can still practice self-control.
That's important.
I'm not against. This is Jonathan. Bother Jonathan.
Well, no, I mean,
So we're talking on the phone, and it's kind of like we're friends, and we're talking. I thought, okay, we're just talking, it's fine. And then it kind of felt like, well, we're starting to really talk. And it was like, what's going on here? I'm not doing it. She's not doing it. I'm like, what are you doing?
yeah, you formed an emotional connection. She was a vulnerable widow. You were coming out of your
My daughter accused her
marriage.
mom of exactly the same thing, of coming
Yeah, I
in
got
and thinking of
accused
being
of being a predator.
She got over it over a week, but she's like,
Well, because
but Joni
he
knows
was newly divorced.
Joni's the only one who knows you're divorced, and
And I
she
think
came in,
it's my
she
fault.
squeaked in,
So his kids are saying that about me. I'm the
she's a predator. I'm like,
No.
Joni. I mean,
Well, I mean, you initiated. I mean, you initiated the conversation. You kept on pursuing her. You're the one that called her every night.
in July, but not in June.
Yeah, you're the one that pursuing her. Less like 6 months after my
I was
dad's.
a part of it too.
Well, of course, it takes two to tango, but I'm saying you're the one that should be held to a higher standard as a counselor, as a marriage practice.
We were just talking as friends.
A higher. What,
wasn't any
what
motive.
is there? What a higher?
He wasn't talking to her as a counselor, he was talking to her as a friend.
I know, but that friendship led into an emotional connection, which led to feelings.
I've been a part of it. I've been a part of this since the very beginning.
Keeping it professional. You developed an emotional relationship, which is what happened with Dad
You
when
would
you talked
prefer
to
her
Janice.
getting more time. That's
You
what
developed
you
an emotional relationship. It started out emotional.
All right.
Developed an
Can we-
emotional relationship with
let's
somebody
move
who's
on.
divorced. Your dad developed an emotional relationship with someone that was married, and he was married to me.
I don't know why we're talking about this. Why are we talking about
No,
this?
How dare you?
I know.
That's not the point.
No, I'm just saying, like, it's similar how it starts
No,
out,
it's not
right?
similar. There's nothing similar about it. Your dad sinned.
I think
did not.
he's
sin.
not
Okay,
saying that.
I'm not
he's
saying
saying
sin.
human nature.
I'm not
no,
saying
he's
sin.
saying human nature.
No,
When
I'm
two
just-
people bond.
I'm just saying
we
that's
need to
how-
move on. This is ridiculous.
Janet Smith and Marcus Lamb to me, and he.
I'm not.
He did not.
did.
No,
I'm just saying
He's
that's.
talking about human nature.
I'm just saying that's how
no,
emotional.
that's not true at all.
That's how relationships develop.
Yes,
Right.
that's human nature. That's what he's saying. Let's move on.
He didn't say that. He didn't say
Oh my
that.
gosh.
say it.
No, not at all.
Dad,
No.
Did he say that? Just like Dad developed
No.
an emotional relationship with Janice?
When
Did he say
you
that?
talk to somebody, he's
I'm
being
saying
human
that's how
nature.
the relationships start.
Can
You
we
don't
move?
use that example with us. He was divorced. I was widowed. There was nothing wrong with me developing an emotional relationship with this man.
You were
I
vulnerable,
chose to do
and he
it.
was a counselor.
I was not vulnerable.
All right,
I'm
can
not
we move on?
weak.
It's
Woman.
okay. It's fine.
Let's go to the
But and
next
he was.
How dare you say that? You have watched me lead this year and a half Daystar. How dare you portray me as that? I am not that.
I think.
I think there's two different windows, Noni. There's
I think-
professional, and then there's you as just wanting
you have
love.
two different sides. Like
that's
your
your
professional
choice to
side
make.
is
What's wrong
strong.
with that?
It's her choice to make, like we said.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
my choice. I'm a grown
Of
woman.
course, yeah.
Would you help me understand this?
Well, I was saying to you guys the other day when we met, you were saying about her responses, and I said you're crossing boundaries. Two boundaries. The one is, as a mother, y'all have no business telling her who to make out with.
Of course.
We didn't tell her.
We didn't tell her.
But then, well, and then as,
We can have concerns.
And then as the president of Daystar, she's the boss, and that's what I said to you the other day. Whichever direction you
As a
go.
family, you can talk about things and have good communication. Is what we're doing.
But I know, but
That's
What I'm
why
saying-
we're here.
I confirm what you're saying, Jonathan, as far as we were two people who known each other for a long time.
but you were both in compromised positions.
Why are we
So
still on?
compromised.
Well, because you just divorced your wife.
6 months before the divorce.
I think we
was
should move
grieving
on.
before I even signed the first paper in August. You had to back up another 5 or 6
So you weren't grieving at all whenever you started talking to my mom?
No, he said his heart died.
Completely.
You listen to me. I went through a very painful process laying down my future, 30 plus years of ministry, my reputation, my family, before I even wrote the first letter to Lisa in August. I agreed that I can show you one was in Breckenridge, one was in Florida. I can tell you the places where God met with me. And I laid down things on the altar before I even went down this path. I had to grieve all the losses that could potentially happen. Okay? You don't know what that's like. I hope you never do. I love you guys. I want you to have the best ever. So I went through that process. So when I did the first paper in August, I was already mostly through the grieving process. And then I had 6 months after that to continue going through, which the divorce process was really kind of hard. Lisa wasn't difficult, but the process is hard. And I would never recommend it. And I'm more committed to fighting for marriages now than even then, because I want people not to have to go through that, okay? And marriages still get healed and people still get saved. God hasn't left me. And I'm not the monster. I mean, I was preaching last 2 weeks ago with 50 guys got saved. The anointing has left me. God's never left me. And so what happened is I was already through my grief process, so I wasn't vulnerable like my kids accused me of. Joni knows you were vulnerable because she would have been the only person other than my family.
Your kids accused Joni of being the one that swooped in and took you off your.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's fine that they would
But
think
didn't
that.
stay
That makes
there
sense.
Like you guys, okay? Because my daughter deals with this stuff. She understands.
Well, we're here because we've not
We
been
haven't
able to
had a
talk.
chance to deal with it.
You're talking to her. We're not.
No, she.
I wish we would have had a chance to deal with it.
She
Chance to deal with what?
I'm sorry. I wish we've had a chance to deal with it.
We've been trying.
That's the problem.
When he came to ask your permission to ask your mom,
We're about to get into
We're
that.
getting into that.
We'll build into
I'm
it.
saying you didn't have an opportunity to. I thought y'all talked.
He did.
We did.
So
Well, I know the backstory, so we'll get into it.
Okay. So, Mom, obviously, before the relationship started, and even halfway through it, your word was the gospel truth to me.
And me.
Suzy too. I trusted every word you said. I never doubted it. but now our trust is shaken, and these are the reasons why. You from the very beginning, you had said that Doug or whoever you date isn't going to have involvement.
Well, just read it. It's clear.
Sure. You start to think about the future that you made, and you made it very clear that the ministry.
His ministry.
He made it clear that his ministry is for his kids, and his only involvement at Daystar would be to host the
He
coach
said
show
that
with
to
you.
me. Said that to us.
I never said he'd never be involved.
No, you didn't say he would never. You said his ministry. It's clear his ministry is for his kids, and he's not going to do anything in Daystar, but he does have a show,
No, I never said.
and he
I
will.
never said he would not have any